Hello! We got intro music. Oh yeah, we got intro music today. Basically what I did was I just Googled royalty-free music, and well, what I Googled was royalty-free trippy music, and this is what came up. And so hopefully it's fine. We'll see. Oh, you know what? I should probably credit the song. If you go to royalty-free artists on YouTube, that's why I found it. I could put it in the description next time. I'll do that. But yeah, today, as you can tell from the setup, we have another yoga stream. And I will be reading the Society of the Spectacle as I'm doing yoga. I will be doing yoga however I feel like. If people come in and request certain poses, I might do them, but I also might not. This is not that kind of stream where people just come in and ask me to do poses and I do them. This is a stream where I discuss philosophy and happen to do yoga sometimes as I'm like working through understanding what certain passages mean, etc. And if you want to ask me any sort of philosophy question, feel free. So I'm going to put that in the chat actually too, just to see. You get to hear my ASMR keyboard. And say, please do not ask me to do certain poses. This is not that kind of stream. There. And I'll pin this. And perhaps people will read it, perhaps they won't. If they don't read it, I will refer them to the message. Well, because this is my stream and I get to choose what to do. So, yeah. So we're about halfway through The Society of the Spectacle by Guy Debord. Sure, we'll say that. We just got to section 6, Spectacular Time. So if you're reading along, I'm at verse 147. Yeah. I'm going to start out by just doing some stretches and just kind of talking, and then we will start reading, and we'll see if anybody shows up, and if nobody shows up, fine. That's fine too. Okay. doing some stretches. I hope everybody's day is going okay. Mine's going pretty good. I went to go get an eye exam today at Costco. Yeah, pretty cheap. Pretty cost effective. I always put off doctor's appointments until the last possible minute, so this was my last attempt. And I usually call to make an appointment right before I want to be seen, so luckily Costco does that. This video is sponsored by Costco. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. I'm going to do a tarot card as well. Let us draw a tarot card and see what we get. We get Achievement of Fire. There's the camera. Achievement of Fire. It's got a forest on fire. As usual, these tarot cards have extremely aggressive energy, so okay, let me read and see what that means. Achievement of Fire. Okay, Achievement of Fire. Impossible situations eventually yield to great victory. Ooh. Maybe a great victory is on the horizon for me. You know, I went to, and hopefully my mic is and everything's okay. I tested it out beforehand, as usual, but, you know, it's not always perfect. So, if I need to adjust the audio, let me know. But, anyways, I went to a New Age store this weekend. It was like a cafe, like a coffee shop, too. And so I ordered some tea, and of course the barista wrote something very New Agey on the cup. It was something about like, you've been assigned a mountain so you can prove to others that it can move, something like that. And I was there with my partner, and she didn't write anything on his cup. I think it's because they know that he was there with me. And so, like, that he doesn't believe in that kind of stuff, so. But I saw it, and I was like, whoa, there's a little message on my coffee cup. Although I guess it wasn't a coffee cup, it was more of a, well, it was a coffee cup, but there was tea in there. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to switch. Yeah, so the camera position is better. I don't want my ass facing the screen. This is not that kind of stream. I just like moving my body and talking at the same time. Keeps things interesting. You know, in yoga, they tell you to have something called the Ujjayi breath, which means it's supposed to sound like the ocean. Sounds like that kind of. But yeah, I'm a complete novice at yoga, so please don't, I don't know. Please don't take my poses as instruction. This is not a yoga class. This is just me talking and doing yoga at the same time. But just figured I'd do a little bit of yoga before, and perhaps during the reading, and perhaps after. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, so I went to it's like a crystal store. And you know, I really want to be into crystals, but I'm not. I don't know if I necessarily believe in that kind of stuff. But, I mean, you know, if you believe in it, great. If it helps you in some way, great. It doesn't necessarily for me, and that's okay. But like if somebody were to give me a crystal, then I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, wow, thank you. You thought of me. I don't necessarily see it as anything like specifically meaningful, but you know. Oh, hi, welcome in. This is how people read books in 2026. Yes. Well, okay, so I just figured I'd do some yoga before somebody came in, but I'm reading The Society of the Spectacle. I figured I'd shake it up. So, yeah. I'm currently at book 6, verse 147. So, yeah, I could start reading, I guess. The time of production, commodified time, that time which has been segmented, allocated, where every interval is equivalent in value and therefore indistinguishable. The time of production produces an infinite accumulation of these fungible intervals of time that are equivalent without equality. This effectively renders irreversible time into abstract units, of which segment must prove, on the stopwatch, their quantitative equality. These abstracted units of time are, in reality, merely their use value and exchangeability. According to this regime of social control by commoditized time, time is everything, man is nothing. At best, he is the carcass of time. This is a complete devaluation of time, an inversion of the idea that time is the space in which human society grows and blossoms into the terrain of human development. So a lot of it's about spending time, wasting time, how time is some sort of valuable commodity that we must use all of it in order to be I don't know, we've turned time into this very human-based commodity. So, how are you doing today? Okay, 148. To complement the time of production, the time of human non-development is consumable time. Consumable time is returned to social life as a byproduct of time of production. It is experienced as pseudo-cyclical time. Pseudo-cyclical time is in fact the time of production disguised as time to be consumed freely by the workers. Pseudo-cyclical time exhibits the same characteristics as the time of production, namely equally segmented, fungible units of time, the qualitative dimensions of which are suppressed in favor of the quantitative equality. Since this pseudo-cyclical time is a complementary byproduct of the time of production, it must maintain the hegemony and legitimacy of the time of production as the colonizer of time itself, in which consumable time is relegated to the subservient role as a gift rather than as equal. To maintain these complementary... So I'm reading The Society of the Spectacle by Guy Debord, or Guy Debord. I think it's in the description of my overlay as well. Yeah. Sorry, one moment. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Just closing a door really quick. Okay. So he was a French Marxist in the 1960s, talking about something called the spectacle and how it's created by capitalism and how it gets worse as capitalism progresses. So it's kind of ironic that I'm reading this as I'm streaming on Twitch. But honestly, I love irony. I love the irony of being myself a commodity as I'm reading about the commoditization of everything. It sparks joy for me, so that's why I'm reading it. Are you into philosophy at all? It's okay if you're not. I'm one of those people who's like, who believes that anybody can be a philosopher. You don't have to be well read or anything. Just if you like talking about things deeply, if you like pondering things, that basically makes you a philosopher. So, okay. So it's talking about pseudo-cyclical time. To maintain these complementary roles, pseudo-cyclical time necessarily finds itself laden with false attributions of value, and these moments are segmented into a sequence of artificially distinct events, which are merely undifferentiated moments of time perceived to be more highly valuable. So, like, an example of this is when everybody says, like, oh, I can't wait for Friday. Thank God it's Friday, you know. Oh, I hate Mondays. Like, these are these determinations we make about time that are purely human constructed. There's nothing inherently different about Fridays than there is Mondays. I mean, in the context of, like, independent from work, the only thing that makes Fridays different from Mondays is the fact that we work. So, okay, 150. Pseudo-cyclical time is the contemporary equivalent to the time spent surviving in nature, foraging for food, searching for shelter, but in the contemporary milieu, shopping, chores, and conducting economic transactions. Under both these regimes, daily life is devoid of decisions, while under pseudo-cyclical time, the individual is no longer bound to the natural order, but instead bound to the economic consumerist nature, thus created by alienated labor. Thus, pseudo-cyclical time returns to the same natural cyclical rhythms that regulated the survival of pre-industrial societies. It builds upon the vestiges of ancient cyclical time, using it as a foundation and generating new variations, day and night, weekly work and weekend rest, and the cycle of harvest, festivals, holidays, and vacations. No, I'm not really into philosophy, but I'm not too big on socialism. Coming from a used-to-be Soviet satellite country. Oh, I see. Well, I mean, for me personally, like, I don't think you have to be, like, just because this guy's a Marxist doesn't mean that all his ideas are automatically, like if you believe one of his ideas, that doesn't make you a Marxist, right? At least that's my perspective. Like, you can still glean helpful things from what people have to say, even if you don't agree with, like, their politics or whatever. But I can understand why you would have that perspective. Which country are you from? I always get people from Europe. Because I think this is the right time for that. Sorry, let me just type something really quick on my ASMR keyboard, and of course it's not working. Okay, now unplug it really quick and plug it back in. How about now? There we go. Sometimes you just have to plug it in and unplug it. Oh, yes. Sorry, I had to remind myself what planned obsolescence is, but yes, I also despise that. When products are made just to be used for a short time and then remade. Oh, so it's 8:30 there? Oh, Czechia. Wow. Incredible. Well, I hope you're having a good night so far. Yeah, like, planned obsolescence is basically a problem of late stage capitalism. Sorry, the noise is in the background. I don't mean for that to happen. But anyway, like, the hyper-consumerism, the, like, Labubu products, the Stanley Cups, all this stuff, and the phones that are only made to last for 1 or 2 years, like, it's all, you know, at least the parts of the book seem more... yeah, so it's mostly anti-consumerist rather than pro-communist. Although here's the thing. So I did skip over the part about communism and socialism. It was talking about history, which, listen, I understand how important history is. I get that. I get that people should study history, etc., etc. But, bro, I am so not well versed in history, so I skipped that part. So that was probably the part where it talks about, Marxism and etc. So, at least there's that. So you don't have to hear about that. But I completely understand if you're like, this is not for me, I don't want to listen to it. That's fine too. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was doing this. I was doing this. Nope, that's not right. Wrong leg. I gotta make sure I do things in front of the camera instead of... Yeah, the dialectic bits. Well, that was the part where it was at the end of my last stream, and I was reading about that. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe not this part. The anti-consumerist stuff I can completely get behind, but everything else, I'm like, and that's the thing though, like, with certain books or philosophers or whatever, just take what you want to take from it. Just take whatever you want to take from it and leave the rest. Maybe that's, you don't get all the context that way. But people do that anyway. Take things out of context, so, I mean, yeah. As you can see, I'm a complete novice at yoga. But it's just like when I sit at that chair all day, my back starts to hurt. So this is actually much more nice. We all do yoga and stream at the same time. Yeah. It's always tragic when you realize, like, that your phone or your computer or your whatever product is just getting, like, poorer and poorer and poorer quality. It's a problem too when the companies that do that have kind of a monopoly over the market, right? So there's not really much you can do. But I wish I could show you this diagram. Maybe I'll look it up actually. That's a good idea. I want to show you guys this diagram that's in the book. I just gotta scroll down to page 138. Spectacular time. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do display capture. There. Oh, that's helpful. Okay. How about this? There we go. Display capture. Let me just zoom into this diagram really quick. Inception horns, yeah. I also don't want to break my computer by doing that, though. So then it talks about, so there's this diagram. It goes from, so what he was originally talking about was this transition from cyclical time into pseudo-cyclical time, and how that's how it's going to continue to be for the foreseeable future. So, you start out with mythic society, then you shift to agrarian society, you shift through history, you shift to historical society, the creation of the calendar, industrial society, and spectacular society. I'm trying to understand what the significance of this is. I think it mostly just is a visual representation of how, as society has progressed, our perception of time is warped. So I'll just leave this. I'll just leave this up as I'm reading. Actually, I could make that full screen. There we go. Pseudo-cyclical time is a time that has been transformed by industry. This time is itself a consumable commodity, one which has combined all aspects of a social life which were previously distinguished: private life, economic life, and political life. This combined consumable time of contemporary society is the raw material to be consumed by the worker how they see fit, but only as input to a set of ever-expanding products on the market of socially controlled schedules. A product that already exists in a form suitable for consumption may nevertheless serve as raw material for some other product. And that what he's saying is that people's time, specifically the working class, their time becomes this consumable product. The product is time being able to be spent watching advertisements or be sold things or buy things. Well, he was writing at a time when communist writers were still usually talking about the end of capitalism as an inevitability. Yeah, so he was foreseeing the end of capitalism. I sure wish that he would have put a solution, though. His own solution. Well, I guess his solution is communism. Which, well, to be fair, if it's done actually correctly, exactly by the book, then maybe we've got something there. But I don't think that's ever possible with humans, with imperfect societies. Because improperly implemented communism is pretty bad. Okay. 152. In the most developed sectors of concentrated capitalism, the market creates all-inclusive packaged experiences, which constitutes a single unified commodity, thus increasing the number of diverse commodities. This is made possible by the increase and ubiquity of the services and hospitality economy, the increase of leisure activities, and the all-inclusive luxury accommodations with preset vacation itineraries. This spectacular form of leisure even extends to socialization as well, with the inclusion of exciting conversations and celebrity meet and greet events. These type of events would not be taken seriously without a corresponding impoverishment of the realities they parody. Yes! Okay, this is where it becomes ironic, right? Because he's talking about how these, like, exciting conversations, being able to meet with celebrities, that only exists because people are impoverished in some way, and in this case, they're impoverished for human connection. Okay, we'll just sit with that for a minute. What is happening right now? What am I doing right now? Like, I get it. I'm a huge hypocrite by reading this and also being in that space of, well, luckily I'm not profiting off of this. Because I'm such a small streamer, I'm not even an affiliate, I'm not even monetized. It would be even more ironic if I was monetized, because I would be doing exactly what this is talking about. Because yeah. That's as deep as I'll go into that. Obviously, these commodities reflect the advancement in sales techniques in that they can be bought with credit. 153. consumable pseudo-cyclical time is spectacular time. In the most narrow sense, it is the time allocated to the consumption of images. More broadly, is the conception of time itself as a consumable commodity, a representation of moments of time perceived as having more intrinsic value than the time of production, the so-called real life the worker must endure. This consumable time is increasingly allocated to the consumption of images which in turn serve as advertisements for all other commodities, deepening our immersion in the spectacle. This time is the realm of the commodity, and the images are the medium in which these commodities act upon our consciousness most efficiently. This realm is the chosen battlefield from which the spectacular commodity mounts its strongest attack. The ultimate goal of this attack is to maintain our attention upon the spectacle itself, and to increase the time allocated to the consumption of pseudo-cyclical time within the spectacle. Hi, patient. You fell asleep? Oh, did you fall asleep last stream? Is that what, yesterday? Is that what happened? As you can tell, completely different setup today. Yeah. We're trying all sorts of stuff today. Today, we're doing yoga and reading The Society of the Spectacle. You can find it on my overlay right here. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, okay. This battlefield is at once the locus of the spectacle, the center of its operation, and the most exemplary form of all consumption. The fetishization of time-saving products and services, so sought after by contemporary society, whether in the increasing speeds of cars, the speed and convenience of online shopping, pre-made or instant meal replacements, and the explosion of fast casual restaurants, all contribute to the increased time spent consuming images. In the United States, Americans end up watching television 3 to 6 hours a day. I think that's changed since then. Although it's not necessarily television, it's mostly just phones and social media. The social aspect of consumable time is dominated by moments of leisure and vacations, moments which are presented as fleeting, exclusive, and distant, therefore desirable by definition. So when you think about like a social media image, it's fleeting and distant, shorter and shorter images. You also end up having FOMO. You don't want to miss out on whatever people are posting or talking about or whatever. These moments are simultaneously presented as separate from daily life and yet more exemplary as moments of real, authentic experience. These authentic moments are supposed to be looked forward to, whose cyclical return is to be expected. But it is within these authentic, privileged moments that are supposedly more real than daily life. What is in fact being produced is a more intensified version of the spectacle, a personalized, lived, and spectacular event. Thus, what has been portrayed as an authentic life turns out to be merely a life more authentically spectacular. So, yeah. Personal, curated life based on whatever the algorithm feeds you. I want to talk about these things critically. I know that people see a lot of value in social media and everything, but I also want to be critical of it. So if anybody's takes offense to it, I'm sorry. But I do agree with what he's saying here about how it's spectacular, right? I mean, it's not really supposed to be this way. You're not supposed to have the entire world revolve around you. Listen, I realize the irony of that statement as I'm sitting here streaming and having my moment or whatever. I'm trying not to make this into an echo chamber. But that's kind of just what happens when you stream, is you generate your own personal echo chamber. So Although I will say I've met a lot of really nice and intelligent and patient and kind people, and I'm very glad to have done that so far. So it's not all, I hope it's not all just completely me just massaging my own ego, but if it is, I guess. That's why so many streamers put those sound absorbing panels behind them. Wait, what do you mean by that? Is the sound okay? Hopefully it's fine. Oh, good one. Now I get it. That's why they put the sound absorbing things behind them. Now I get it. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I'm not sure what the right thing to do is. Is massaging your ego just a little bit? Is that fine? I don't know. Maybe as long as you just don't take it overboard. But then again. 154. The contemporary period of spectacular time presents itself as a time made up of many frequently recurring festivals. It is actually a period without festivities. During the period of cyclical time, the festival was a frequent and luxurious experience of communal participation in life, now impossible in a society without communities or luxury. These pseudo-parties, poor parodies of gift exchange and jubilee, typical of festivals of the previous period, have been vulgarized into a surplus of expenditure. But this expenditure only results in an expanding amount of disappointment, a disappointment centered upon the promise of the next pseudo-festival, one just as equally sure to disappoint. Under the reign of the spectacle, the lower the use value, i.e., moments of leisure of pure inactive boredom, placed on time, the more highly cherished this time becomes as it is experienced as a more authentic time of real life. The reality of time has been replaced by the advertisement of spectacular time. So instead of just sitting and doing nothing, you're instead watching images during your free time and being advertised to during your free time. I don't know, is it difficult for any of you to just sit and do nothing? It's often pretty difficult for me. I will say this, if I'm using like certain plant medicines, then it's not so difficult. But if I'm just me completely, well, okay, whack it, that doesn't surprise me actually. No, that's good though, that's good. I think you should be able to just sit and not do anything. So are you talking about just like in silence, no music, no nothing, just like raw existence? Again, I'm not surprised by that. I'm able to do it, but it's only if I have nothing to do, and usually if I'm using some sort of plant medicine, particularly mushrooms. I mean, that makes it very easy to sit and do nothing. I'm good at waiting rooms. Also, I think if you worry about self-gratification, you'll never share anything you make. I don't know what the right level is, but it's not going to be either extreme, right? Yeah, that's kind of the same, that's kind of the perspective I'm having. It's like, a little bit is okay, not too much. There's some sort of balance there. I just need to figure out what the balance is. Trying to figure it out at least. But I think it's going to be a continuous effort. Just this continuous thing. I think that's another reason why the other day I ended in tears. Because that's what I was feeling like. I was feeling like I was just in my own personal echo chamber and not really contributing what I wanted to contribute. It's an extremely self-centered thing to do. And I'm trying to get better at like managing my emotions, and you never know. Okay, do I keep this thing up or do I could probably take it away now. Well, I'll keep it. I'll just put it right here. Move it up a little bit. But yeah, doing nothing. Surprisingly, very nice. Actually, there was one experience I wanted to talk about. This weekend, I had this experience with mushrooms. Yes, I do partake in that. Although I only use them for my own like spiritual practice. But I've been thinking a lot about like wanting to be shown certain things like the divine. Show me the spirit teachers. Show me the magic. Where is it? Where can I find it? And like, I'll be like leaning into something fully. I'll be like, I'll take whatever substance it is and I'll like throttle it and be like, show me what you have to show me. Like, I'm ready. Like, just like fully leaning into it. And I know that that's like completely not the right approach to have. What we should have is more of what Wackett's approach is, which is just kind of like, I don't know, taking things as they are and not trying to force anything out of them, But anyway, that was like and also you guys are going to see me completely, I'm not that good at balancing, so, anyway, but like, the experience I had it was like a pretty low dose of psilocybin, and I was doing yoga or whatever, and eventually I felt like it wasn't me breathing anymore. I was being breathed by something. Something was coming and breathing through me. I guess I kind of had that experience before, like, it kind of happens every time you take it, where you start breathing abnormally. But this was like, I'm not in control of whatever is occurring with my diaphragm right now. Something is passing through me. So what I ended up doing was just like laying down on the floor, face down, basically like in a prostrate position. And like, I felt this, it sounds so new age, and of course here I am doing yoga, and so I'm saying the most new age thing humanly possible. I should just accept who I am, shouldn't I? I was feeling the energy pass through me. It was quite nice. It was very nice. And so that's what made me think, like, does there have to be something that I'm surrendering to? Or is there just some, like, this act of surrendering that's enough? Do I have to have some sort of higher power to surrender to, like a god, or like the universe, or like, whatever? Yeah, you guys are going to see me do that a lot. Okay. Does there have to be some sort of higher thing that I surrender to, or is it just the act of letting go of myself that is enough? Because objectively, that act of being breathed was very therapeutic for me. Honestly, if I could exist in that state of existence forever, I would. It's nice. Surrender to gravity. That's true. Maybe that's what I was doing. Surrender to the mushroom. That's probably what objectively was happening. But like, does it matter what I believe? Does it matter what it is that I'm just the fact that I'm able to completely let go of myself and let something else take over? I don't know. What do you guys think? And of course, if you're religious, I'm sure you think that it has to be God or whatever. But for me, I don't think it necessarily has to be anything. Patient, you don't know. That's okay. That's alright. Sometimes it's helpful to think about. I just thought it was interesting. I have no religion to tell you the truth. So, well, me neither. I don't have one either. High power is us. It's okay. Take your time. It's the body. Is that what you think? That the higher power is us? That's a valid opinion. If that's what you think, then that's what you think. I'm doing more yoga this time because people complained that I wasn't doing yoga last time. Although I will not be taking any requests for poses. But yeah, I think that's a completely valid opinion to have, that we ourselves are the higher power. Some people might disagree, but that's okay. That's your opinion. I don't really know what high power might be, to tell you the truth. That's okay. That's okay. And accepting that you don't know is also, that's also okay. Yes, your opinion. I think your opinion is valid. I'm saying kind of the same thing. Like, I agree. It doesn't necessarily matter whatever it is you're whatever higher power you believe in, but maybe it is necessary to surrender to something, whether it be gravity or God or the New Age, whatever, you know. Because like I said before, I am part of this New Age, like, mushroom church. Which it's a church dedicated to psilocybin mushrooms. Yes, I'm a part of it. Does it mean I believe in it? No. But like, it could be that too. I'm still a bit unclear on what would count as surrender the way. Oh, okay, so elaborating. To elaborate on that, I think it's like something where you say, or where you are able to say, like, I myself don't matter. And I'm not saying like that all the time. You shouldn't feel that all the time. But like, you should have I feel like you should have at least one moment where you're able to just let go of your sense of self and like your personality and your humanness and what makes I. Like, what makes me I and you I. Like, letting go of that temporarily, I think is necessary. You could call it like ego death or whatever. I know that's like a super cringe thing that people say. You let go of something that you think you're in control of. So like, I thought that I was the one doing the breathing. You know, I'm in control of my breath. But like, I'm not. I'm being breathed. Not cringe. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Although my channel does say reject conformity, embrace cringe. So I should be embracing the cringe, right? I should embrace it. It's hard to embrace cringe sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. When everything you do is cringe, it's hard to just embrace it. Oh shit. You see what I mean? I just kicked the window behind me. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, me too. I like nonconformity as well. It keeps things spicy. You know what I mean? I like keeping things spicy. Not in the sense of like, you know, whatever, but I mean like interesting. Oh, well, thanks for listening. I appreciate you being here. Patient, you always have something interesting to say. And, Patient, can I tell you a secret? I actually went to a Subnautica video on Twitch. And I saw you there in the chat. I should have said hi, but I was like, ooh. So I can see that you go to people with, you go to people who have almost no viewers and you talk to them. And when you do that, I mean, I think you're really making people's day. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't want to take over the stream because it was like you were having an interesting conversation with the streamer, you know? And I was like, I don't want to just take over this with my own personal whatever, but I see you. I'm stalking you. Just kidding. I'm not stalking you, I promise. I promise I wasn't stalking you. I was just like, oh, let's go down to the bottom of the Subnautica category. And then I saw you in one of the streams. Oh, please, it's a stream. You know what? I should frame that. I should frame that statement. Oh, please, it's a stream. Because the amount of seriousness that I take these things is like ridiculous. No, honestly. It's so ridiculous that I, like, last week Wackett thought that he made me cry because I did cry on stream. And if only I had remembered, oh, please, it's just a stream. It probably would have been fine. Yeah, that's my mantra. That's my new mantra. Oh, please. It's just a stream. It's not that serious. But I take it like it's the most serious thing in the entire world. If it's a matter of momentarily having an experience in which you see yourself as less significant, I think you could have that kind of experience without finding something else of importance. I'm thinking of, you know, the kinds of lines astronauts come up with upon seeing the Earth from space. Right. No, I think you're right. And I think that's what I'm getting at too. But like, when the astronauts are seeing the Earth from space, there is something that they're... Okay, I guess I could reframe what I'm saying. Something to surrender to, or something that's completely awe-inspiring that makes you forget about yourself. That's what I'm getting at. It's like something that makes you forget about your own importance. A humbling experience, if you will. We all need some more humbling experiences. I certainly do. You do your best. You certainly do, patient. I'm sure you've made a lot of small streamers very happy. You certainly have done that for me, so. Okay. Shall we go on? That was a long yapping session. Shall we go on? Well, actually, let me see what you said. If this is a momentary feeling rather than a sustained belief, then you would normally expect some sort of stimulus to prompt it, wouldn't you? Right. Well, I think it's either a sustained belief. Well, no. It has to be both. You have to have a sustained belief, and you also have to have some sort of stimulus to remind you of whatever it is that you believe, I guess. Like a sustained belief in God or in the universe or in science or in whatever. You can have that, but because human minds we forget so often. You need some sort of stimulus to just consistently remind you of your own belief. I mean, that's why people go to church every Sunday, right? So they can be reminded of why they believe in God. So, I think it's necessary to have like consistent stimuli to prompt something. Or like maybe it could be just like one momentary, very significant event. So like if you're an astronaut and you're going, sorry, one sec. If you're an astronaut and you're like going to space and you see the Earth, that is a pretty significant, awe-inspiring event. So, I mean, I guess that would be enough, probably for a lifetime. It's the same way with psilocybin, so with mushrooms. Sometimes all it takes for people is just one really big dose to completely change the course of their life. To completely change their perspective and like create some sort of new belief in whatever. I have no religion, so it's not like I practice some ritual. Yeah. Well, do you like to go out into nature? Do you like to read things? I mean, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have an altar and I pray at my altar or whatever. It doesn't have to be like that. Space is different. We're not traveling to space enough. I like nature and fresh air, to tell you the truth. Yes, well, that's what I mean. That works too. And it makes you happy. Well, that's good. I wouldn't say it's a ritual. I like to be very goal-focused. Oh, I see. Not always. But sometimes you need something to remind you that everything is okay. Or at least it can be. It can be okay. Sounds good. Thanks for lurking. See you in a bit. I suppose I could put my arm over like this. There we go. Yeah, for me, it's mushrooms. I guess it can be easier. Yeah. What I'm getting at is like something to make your life worth living. I do talk about mushrooms. Yes, I do. And by no means is this a glorification. Not that curious. You don't need to try them if you don't want to. Oh, you like just the edible ones better? The edible ones have a lot of, they have a lot of benefits as well. If you eat lion's mane mushrooms, you know, lion's mane helps with neurogenesis, so like the creation of new neurons in your brain. That's pretty useful. Like talking about books, but it's mushrooms. Yep. Well, what I'm saying is that mushrooms are my thing. My thing that reminds me. Yeah, man. Look it up. Lion's mane. Well, actually, a lot of mushrooms, edible mushrooms, they help with your generation of new neurons. They're really good for your brain health. Yeah. Although lion's mane is a little bit expensive, so there's that. And maybe one of these days I'll be able to forage for them outside if I get brave enough. Lion's mane is one of those that, like, it's relatively easy to identify, I think. Yeah. Well, I'm sure non-edible mushrooms also have that property. But as far as I know, lion's mane is that's the only one that I know for certain helps you with, like, growing new neurons. Well, and psilocybin as well, mushrooms. But, like, lots of mushrooms have psilocybin. It's like, so, like, golden teachers, for example, they help with neurogenesis. But lion's mane, nothing, what's the word I'm looking for? Lion's mane you can buy at the grocery store and just eat it. So, yeah. In no way am I ever trying to glorify the use of mushrooms. What I'm just saying is that it's helpful to me. It's helpful to a lot of people with their mental health problems. And I hope that you know, it can become legal, at least where I live. Yep. I like it. You don't like it. It is what it is. Okay. Continuing with 155. In ancient agrarian societies, the passing of cyclical time was perceived as a passage of their labors in sync with the natural transition of the seasons. In contrast, the consumption of pseudo-cyclical time during the contemporary period of spectacular time is in contradiction with the time of production, which is, here, I'm gonna, there we go. Which is, I lost my spot. Oh, which is motionless. Its history has reached a stable, unchanging conclusion, while pseudo-cyclical time has cycles and continues to allow change and lets the participants write their own history in a linear progression of time. The cyclical time of the agrarian period was motionless with its repetitive illusion of cyclicality, but the events of these cycles were authentically experienced. Spectacular time is the progression of linear time, as changed by the influence of spectacular history, but this history is an illusory experience, one merely witnessed through the media. The illusion of time. (156) The process of commodity production continually innovates new, cheaper, and more efficient methods to produce the same products. As such, consumption is relegated to the mere repetition of the same products with decreasing costs and decreasing quality. Under the reign of spectacular time, dead labor dominates living labor, and the past accumulations of capital continue to dominate the present creation of time and history. 157. Historical time lacks the histories of individual human lives. The individual human life is still not historical since its events are not recorded and simplified into a linear narrative. Furthermore, the pseudo-events popularized and dramatized by the spectacle are not actually experienced by the individuals who watch them. In any case, these pseudo-events are immediately made irrelevant by the novelty generation mechanism inherent to the spectacle. On the other hand, what life events have actually been experienced have no relation to the official, irreversible historical time which dominates society. The actual lived experiences of life remain outside the allocation of pseudo-cyclical time, the time legitimized by the time of production. So while work remains something perceived as apart from life, and free time remains perceived as more authentically real life, the real lived experience of commuting, doing chores, childcare, cooking, sleeping, etc. is therefore cut off, as separate from real life, remaining undocumented and unaccounted from any personal or historical time. This deprives daily life of language, and as a formal concept, it lacks any analysis of what events occurred within its own past, events which have not been communicated. The real time of life is misunderstood, forgotten, under-theorized, and smothered, to the benefit of the fake memories of the spectacle, a memory of the unmemorable. This reminds me of the show's, what's it called? Severance. This reminds me of Severance. About like separating your work life and your personal life, and what happens when you completely sever them. You know, what happens when you completely separate who you are at work and who you are in everyday life. You know, is that person a completely different person? I guess in this case, it's not talking about a full separation, like two completely different people. But in the case of that show, it literally forms two different people in the same brain, which I think is a topic that's completely fascinating. Interesting to think about. 158. The spectacle, then, as the reigning system of social organization, is a method for the paralysis of history and memory. The spectacular society has abandoned a history based on historical events. This is a society under a false consciousness of time. A prerequisite for the conscription of working class as free producers and consumers of commodity time was the violent expropriation of that time. Spectacular time was only possible after this first dispossession of the producer. 160. The irreducibly biological element of labor in its natural human cycles, like workers' dependence on sleep and waking, health and injury, both attest to the accumulation of irreversible time as the inevitable truth of aging. Contemporary production systems consider these natural and inevitable factors as secondary concerns. As such, aging and health are ignored by the economy of capitalist production as externalities that have no bearing on the production of consumable widgets, new inventions, and entertainment. The individual spectator trapped at the center of spectacular society cannot experience a conscious sense of life as a journey moving towards its fulfillment, or the inevitable march to death. Instead, life remains in stasis, on hold for the next spectacular event. As such, we who have given up the idea of living will surely never be able to embrace our own death. Life insurance advertisements stake their business strategy on a moral falsehood that claims it is reprehensible to die without first ensuring the continuation of one's own economic productivity. I always think life insurance is a really interesting concept. Like, how much is your life worth? $1 million? Is that how much your entire life is worth? Your time and everything? I think it's ridiculous that we even try to put some sort of monetary value on that. So people don't like calendars, I guess. Yeah, and they have statistics. Well, yeah, and they have statistics to determine how much your life is worth. Like, oh, okay, So if you've got this condition, and this condition, and maybe you've got 20 years left, so that means you're worth $800,000 or something. It's probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. But it's something we do. Because time is money. Time is money. Instead, let's see. In the American way of death, death itself is advertised as an inversion, an event that attempts to maintain the appearance of life by means of excessive sentimentality, ostentatious displays of wealth, and an overly commercialized industry to support it. Alongside the continual bombardment of advertising, it is forbidden to get old. Everyone's youth capital must be economized, while all models, celebrities, and actors remain forever young. Thus, despite our collective efforts to economize youth, it has nothing of the lasting and cumulative properties of financial capital. The social absence of death is equal only to the social absence of life. Time is money. Isn't that depressing? It is to me. (161) As described by Hegel, time is the necessary alienation. As we age, we gradually lose our sense of self and discover our true selves. Time is the environment in which we become the other, the thing outside ourselves we didn't understand, and in becoming other, we become a more fully understood self. It's helpful so we always have time. We create money in order to have time. And we can get more time if we get money. I suppose. Isn't that just an illusion, though? Didn't we always have time to begin with? I can't write a book, but I can buy a book. Instead of spending the time learning how to write a book, you can buy one instead. Yeah. And I'm not saying money's not helpful. But it's interesting how we use money to make time. Money is an illusion. Society would be better without. Well, I don't know if society would be better. I think it would be a lot less organized. We do what we can. Society can give us all resources. Yeah. What money is like a representation of value. Because we can't make everything. We can't be like, I can't grow food. Well, I guess I could, but it would be very inefficient growing my own food and making my own clothes and making my, whatever. We are supposed to work less and have the same. Yeah, it represents value. Yeah, but the problem is excess. It's not like that money itself is the problem, capitalism itself is the problem. It's when those go to their natural forward progression, they just get worse and worse and worse. Society is for us to work less, have a better life, and have the same money. Yeah, that's how ideally it would function. That's ideal. Yeah, that's the ideals. But I think what he's talking about here is what will eventually happen, probably. So, that it will get worse and worse over time. And like further and further away from whatever ideal we had in in the beginning. That's what always happens, though. The opposite is true of the alienation generated by the spectacle of late capitalism. That is, an alienation felt as disenfranchisement from meaningfully participating in the historical events of one's lifetime. We may spectate, but we cannot participate. Absolute alienation in the foreign present. This is spatial alienation, the society that separates the subject from participating in the events of our own time, foreclosing our individual ability to experience self-discovery through aging. The beauties and graces of the naturally alienating process of time have instead been petrified, and the risks of lived self-creation and discovery have been eliminated. Money is good. It can be. It can be. It can be good. Greed is not good, though. Greed is not good. My arms never feel strong enough for this side plank thing. I've got toothpick arms. There we go. Can be good, but I do like money. That's one thing I like. Okay. Probably see how much my arm is wobbling over here. In contrast to the passing fashions that preoccupy pseudo-cyclical time, the dominant styles that actually influence the contemporary period are carefully obfuscated and hidden. These can be recognized as the main concerns that will cause revolution if they become apparent and revealed. 163. The motion of time exists despite human beings. It is only concretely experienced as moments when society continuously segments and describes time for human use. Do you like exercising? Planks are the hardest for me because my arms are literal twigs. They're just, yeah, special. The perception of time for any society is determined by the stage of human labor. Under agrarian labor and cyclical time, time is humanized, and therefore any individual is able to participate in the historical events of their own time. Under economic productive labor and irreversible historical time, that time is dehumanized. The individual cannot meaningfully participate in the lived historical events of their own period. This makes me think about how, and I do not want to get into politics because I know politics is a very controversial thing. But what I will say is that I think that's the reason why there's not as much political participation in a lot of nations these days. Like, for example, in China, I saw a poll for like how much political participation there was, and you know, it's declining. It's declining in China. It's declining in the U.S. It's probably declining in a lot of different countries. I think the reason is because people are using social media to discuss politics and, you know, complain about politics and whatever. And they're using that as a replacement for actual political participation. Don't feel like doing sports. Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta find something that you actually like doing. If you hate doing it, then it's not worth it to do it. Personally, I love doing yoga, so that's why I'm able to do it pretty often. If I don't love it, then then I'm not going to do it. Like for example, I hate running. I hate running. The whole time I'm running, I'm like, why am I doing this? My lungs are on fire. I kind of want to die. Like, I don't want to do this. So I'm not going to do it. If I was convinced that was the only option for exercise, I would probably never exercise. But right after I found yoga, I was like, oh, actually, this is kind of fun. And so that's what I chose. And so that's all I do for exercise is just yoga. So you gotta find like your one thing that's like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'll do this. Something that you're willing to do every day. That's kind of like a fun thing to do. Yeah. You gotta try several different things before you land on something that you like. So, sports are boring. I don't really like any sports. You said you like being out in nature, though. Do you like doing anything out in nature? Yoga does look like fun. Yeah. Oh, you run. Do you run because you have to or because you like to? Don't like it? Oh, crap. That sucks then. You do it just because you have to. So like once you start, then it's easy to keep going. I see. That happens sometimes for me too. Sometimes you just have to start doing it and then slowly over time. Your knees. Yeah, that can screw up your knees. Running, the pressure, the impact. Damn, yeah, that's hard. For real. I'm sorry. The revolutionary project of realizing a classless society goes along with an inclusive historical life, one in which all people can participate in the events of their own historical period. This project entails the withering away of a singular measure of historical time in favor of a more humane, individualized, and federated multiplicity of independent times. Ones which are playful in nature, where every individual time can interplay and unify on an ad hoc basis, where all timelines are autonomous, valid, and simultaneously present. A successful realization of this revolutionary project is a generalized, fully conscious conception of time, determined by personal life events which are recorded into a new historical record. So I think he's talking about how we need to be more conscious of how time is passing. I mean, like, when you're going to your 9 to 5 or whatever, and you're commuting, and you know you're in the car for an hour, you arrive at your job, you're at your job for 8 hours, then you commute home, then you have dinner or whatever, and then you go to sleep. And when every day is exactly the same, then you lose that concept of time. It's kind of the same the same thing that happens when you're driving home in your car along a route that you always drive every day, and suddenly you're at your house and you're like, oh shit, how did I get here? Like, I don't know. Somehow you just made it there. You teleported. I think that similar thing happens when you make your schedule exactly the same every single day. You don't have any sort of variety or spontaneity. So your sense of time is it kind of approaches this here's my mouse. It kind of approaches this like meh kind of infinity, not really fluctuating, just Permanently present. Yeah, that's what happens when we know how to do things without spending too much energy. Yep. Humans are inherently lazy. So we'll find ways to do things repetitively that use the least amount of energy possible. So if you always drive the same route, then your brain is going to shut off as you're driving until you reach your destination, and then turn on again. Or at least the part that like records time. And be lazy. Yep. Yep. I am just as lazy as everybody else. It's hard not to be lazy. But the thing is that lazy is not always bad, right? You can be lazy and smart. I think being lazy and being smart at the same time is a really good combination. Because then you get things done. Then you get things, lazy is lazy. And no. I think that if you're both lazy and smart, then you're going to accomplish things to make your life easier. You're probably going to be very good at making things very efficient so that you could use less energy next time. You're both lazy and smart. Well, that's good. That's good. That's the best kind of person to be. The worst kind of person to be is lazy and stupid. That's not a good combination. But lazy and smart, that is a good combination. Smart and hardworking is fine, I guess. Oh, no. Let's see. Lazy and hardworking and dumb. That is the worst. Sorry. Hardworking and dumb. If you are working really hard, but like not being smart about it, then you're just wasting energy and wasting time, and usually negatively affecting the people around you. So I do spend the energy to learn. Only one way to do it. Yeah, usually when you're lazy and smart, you only try and figure out the solution as fast as possible so you can be done. But I think that sometimes leads you to have interesting revelations about, I feel like a lot of probably useful inventions exist because people were lazy and smart. Yeah, you can be hardworking and dumb. Yeah, that's the worst. If you're hardworking and dumb, you just have to hard work the right way. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna be right back. I just have to go pee, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I am back. I found music to play, finally. Here, I'll show you. I should credit what I'm finding. So, this is the music that I play. Next time I'll put it in the description, be a better creator. But, it says royalty free, so I'm going to take their word for it. Taking their word for it. Anyway. Yeah, I think this book is interesting so far. I mean, it's mostly just talking about the way the life is. It doesn't seem like anything too groundbreaking, but, you know, not too groundbreaking. But interesting, nonetheless. Interesting, at least. Okay. A successful realization of this revolutionary project is a generalized, fully conscious conception of time, determined by personal life events which are recorded in a new historical record. A personal chronology that can be flexibly federated into other personal chronicles, voluntarily and playfully. A sort of communism that suppresses all spectacular media-driven and universalized histories. This would be a communism that suppresses and abolishes everything that exists independently of individuals. In essence, a project to abolish the historical time of kings, the chronicle, the government with their official time, and finally to abolish spectacular time. Ah, I see. So now this is where he's saying that all these superficial concepts of time need to be abolished. The world has already dreamt of such a time. It just has to wake up and remember to really live it. I'm trying to think of the times in my life where I've been aware of time passing at every moment. You like calendars. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying, is that we have to abolish the calendars. Abolish the calendars, take away the alarm clocks. He's saying that it's not necessary. We don't need to. Right. He says that the only important way of counting time is through your own age. Like looking, but the problem is that, these days everybody gets plastic surgery, and so, everybody gets plastic surgery, and so these markers of time are becoming less and less present, and so we need to rely more on the things like the calendar, the clock, all these superficial markers of time. Yeah. I mean, I personally, I don't know whether I agree or disagree, but that's just what his perspective is. I think that we have created a society in which this is the only way to do things. Like, you have to live by the calendar, you have to live by, you have to live by the clock or whatever. You have to live by these superficial markers of time in order to survive. In the past, we didn't have to do that. I mean, like in agrarian societies, basically the most important marker of time was the sun rising and setting. That's all you need to know about. In order, like, you wake up when the sun rises, you go to bed when the sun sets. Time is important for learning skills. How long I'm playing a game. Yeah. Although I think what he would say to that, what this economist would say to that, or philosopher, I guess, whatever, is that why don't we just let things play out to their natural conclusion? Why do we need to have this clock tell us what we can and can't do with our time, I guess, if that makes sense. But I completely understand. Yeah, it's helpful. It's helpful to, like, when you start playing a game and you want to know how long you've been playing for. But the question is, like, why do you need to know how long you've been playing for? Why is that important to you? It's because we have this idea that you're either spending free time, leisure, or you're wasting it. This idea that if you don't spend your time wisely, you're wasting it. And I think what he's saying is that that's all of our own, like, conception, all of our own, like, invention of how time is supposed to work. Yeah. And so time is something that you can just make your own determination of whether it's being wisely spent or not. You don't have to rely on, like, a clock or some sort of external force to tell you whether you're spending your time wisely or not, I guess. You can also look, like, another, I guess it would be like looking at your own death as well, your own aging, and determining from there, like, am I spending my time wisely because I'm about to die, or I will die eventually. So using that as the ultimate motivator to spend your time wisely. Clocks don't say if I'm spending the time right or not. No, they don't. I think that what I'm saying is, like, why do you care about what the clock says? Why do you care about what the clock tells you or doesn't tell you? You care because you want to spend your time wisely. At least that's what I'm assuming. Why else would you look at a clock? You want to fill all the minutes with different whatever. I don't. Okay. That was just my conception of what you're saying. But I can be completely wrong, too. Yeah. Clocks do bring me health. What do you mean by that? I'm curious what you mean by that. For example, I know I only need to sleep for 8 hours. Right. So because we have clocks, now we can measure time in an effective way. Right. Yeah, I agree. That's an effective use of clocks. You can measure time and you can scientifically understand things like how long do people need to sleep for, instead of just this intuitive whatever. We wouldn't be able to understand how long people sleep for unless we, like, counted how long. And we had this conception of, like, how long an hour is. So, I agree. Intuitive works, but yeah. No, I agree. I think what I'm gleaning from this is that, yeah, these inventions of time, of how to measure time, they're nice, but they're not everything. They don't need to be everything. Like, if you're not always on time to things right at the exact minute, it doesn't mean you're, like, a failure of a person. I guess just, like, not taking these rigid rules as seriously as we do. I think that's what's important. Or letting, like, external circumstances influence you too much. You can also think intuitively about what's important, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Agree. Okay. Well, now so we moved away from time. Now we're at book 7. The Organization of Territory. Ooh. Okay. See what this is about. 165. Capitalist production has become ubiquitous. All military, political, and trade barriers between societies have been broken down. There is no longer an outside to capitalism. This is an extensive and intensive process of trivialization of unique local customs, traditions, methods, languages, and cultures. These local distinctions are commoditized and banalized for consumption by the global market. This creates a universal space of the global market, where local goods, cultures, and the places themselves are made accessible to the market, each comparable and homogeneous to better conform to the ease of exchange. Therefore bankrupt of its once unique character. The corporate restrictions on craft guilds of the Middle Ages, assuring the quality of craft production, had to be destroyed to make way for the era of mass production, just as it had to dissolve the autonomy and quality of places. The cheap prices of its commodities are the heavy artillery it uses to batter down all Chinese walls. I say my property is my property. So money is money and it's mine. Yeah. You're saying that you earn those things, so you deserve them, right? Yeah. For me, I'm not sure if I agree. My situation is a little bit different. But I don't know. I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know if I should get into it. But basically, like, I've had to work for some things, yes, but a lot of things have also been handed to me. So, do I necessarily feel like do I deserve it? Maybe not. 13th through 16th century England, pre-clock ownership, it was pretty common to have a sleep schedule like go to bed around dusk, sleep a few hours. Oh, yeah. I've heard about this. This is interesting. I wonder if that's just like the natural way that humans are meant to sleep. Although I've had times in my life where I don't need to wake up for anything, and I don't wake up randomly in the middle of the night. Now that must be structured around the religious practice. Yeah, I wonder how that works out for people. It's really interesting. Humans are flexible. Lots of things can seem natural and intuitive if you get used to them. Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, I can see that for sure. I think the most important thing is just a balance of intuitive and scientific or fabricated. We were talking earlier about how like clocks and calendars and etc. they do have a lot of benefits. I mean, they allow us to understand things scientifically and count time, and then be able to understand time as a concept. But it's not everything. It doesn't have to be everything. You don't have to base your entire personality on being on time all the time. Like I was instantly humbled earlier by doing that. It's like, I'm always on time. Next day, stream's 2 hours late. Yeah, don't do that. Don't base your entire personality on those kind of things. Because life will find a way to instantly humble you, so. It always does for me, at least. But yeah, that makes sense. Being able to adapt. I don't know, do you think that humans have like a base amount of time? Like, I know that like we're supposed to sleep from 7 to 9 hours a day, something like that. But like everybody probably has their own base amount of time that they need to sleep. For me, it's like my ideal time is going to bed at midnight and then waking up at 9. I need 9 hours of sleep. Some people sleep, yeah. I need like 9 or 10 hours. That's what's healthy for almost everyone. There's not a normal. Yeah, I think it's different for everybody, for every brain, for every person. Ooh, that's tight. My muscles are a little bit sore. If you sleep 9 hours, that also works. Yeah, sleep does. It just means I'm smarter. Just kidding. I'm like, I sleep for 12 hours. That makes me smarter. It's because I'm so smart. No, I'm just kidding. Any chance I get to massage my own ego, I will. I'll take it. That's what I'm saying. I guess I'm just smarter. You guys are all just dumb. Just kidding. You 7-hour-a-day people. Gotta get on my level. What about you, patient? How long do you think you need to sleep for every night? What's your ideal? Okay, 165. Capitalist production has become ubiquitous. All military, political, and trade barriers between societies have been broken down. There is no longer an outside to capitalism. This is an extensive and intensive process of trivialization of unique local customs, traditions, methods, languages, and cultures. These local distinctions are commoditized and banalized for consumption by the global market. This created a universal space of the global market where local goods, cultures, and the places themselves are made accessible to the market. Oh, okay. I got this. Oh, no, I don't got this. I need to have my hands for the balance. Okay. The corporate restrictions on craft guilds of the Middle Ages, assuring the quality of craft production, had to be destroyed to make way for the era of mass production, just as it had to dissolve the autonomy and quality of places. The cheap prices of its commodities are the heavy artillery it uses to batter down all Chinese walls. I realized that I just read that already. It's fine. It is in order to become ever more identical to itself. To get as fucking... Fuck. Okay. What if I just do this? To get as close as possible to unchanging monotony. That the free space of the commodity is henceforth at all times modified and reconstructed. While this spectacular... Oh, I'm testing out my vision today. Well, I told you I got my vision checked today, so this is the real test. While the spectacular society gradually eliminates geographic distance, it simultaneously replaces it with a new internal distances in the form of spectacular separation. "8 hours and 30 minutes. Well, that's pretty good. It wouldn't be enough sometimes. If I don't exercise, well, 7 hours and 30 minutes do the trick. I just assume that whatever the least convenient sleep schedule is, that'll be the healthiest one. Then ignore it and get this 6:37. 6. Well, I guess that's not too bad. 6.5, 7 hours. That's not too bad. Could be worse. I'm gonna try crow pose again. Okay. Wish me luck, you guys. This time I'm doing it. This time for real. I just saw a video of Dua Lipa doing a crow pose in heels. So if she can do that, I can surely do it, right? Oh, fuck me. Okay. Okay. Wait, let me try again. Okay. Trying again. I think it's like I have to stand up like this. Lean forward. Oh, fuck. I knew I was going to land on my face. Okay. See you later. Have a good dinner. Bye-bye. Thank you. Should I try again? I'm gonna try more. I'm gonna try one more time, except I'm almost definitely gonna face plant this time. Okay, let's do it. Gotta spread the fingers out really wide. Stand up like this, I think. And then, okay, this is it. Come on, this is it. Oh my fuck, okay. Nope. Okay, how about now? How about now? Okay. I don't think I can. I don't know if I'm strong enough. I keep going back down. Oh, you know what? I think I know what I need to do. I think I know. I have to bring my feet all the way up like that. Oh my god, I was so close. Eventually I'll do it. Oh my god, okay. Try it this way. Change of environment. Change of environment. Here we go. Okay, ready? Oh, fuck me. Okay. Oh, hey, that was actually a pretty long time. 1 second. 1 second. Woohoo. 1 second. Amazing. Okay. Have a good dinner. Bye-bye. My goal is going to be 5 seconds now. Bye. Wait, now I want to do it one more time. I'm going to do it one more time. I feel like a goblin in this pose, like... Okay. Okay, ready? I'm probably not doing this correctly. It's fine. Oh my god. Okay. Oh, no, no, no. I got this. I got this. Oh, I don't got this. I have to, like, stand first. Yo, that was like 3 seconds. Okay. Whew. I'm tired. That was like 3 seconds. I'm happy with that. It's better than 0 seconds. Better than none. Okay. Let us keep going. (167) While the spectacular society gradually eliminates geographic distance, it simultaneously replaces it with new internal distances in the form of spectacular separation. As a byproduct of the circulation of consumer goods, tourism, the circulation of people as consumption, is fundamentally reduced to the leisure of going to see what has become banal. The application of business-style management techniques to travel guarantees the equivalence of places. The same modernization that has removed time from travel has also removed the reality of place. Aha! Okay, this is what makes me think of... I don't know if you've ever seen that picture of... Oh, let me see if I can find it, actually. The picture of how everything in America looks the same. Let's see. Yep. This picture right here. Let me see if I can find a better picture. Yep. This is it. This is what I was... This picture right here with the McDonald's. Oh no, I don't want to see this. I just want to see the picture. Whatever. Well, you get the idea. Where everywhere in the US looks exactly the same, because it has a McDonald's and these gas stations and these massive roads built around cities, and you got the look, you got the Taco Bell, you got the Shell, you got the, I mean, all these recognizable places. You got the Walmart, you got the, I'm pretty sure this is like a fake image, but like, I've seen a place like this in basically everywhere in the United States. So it's like the making spaces no longer real because they're all the same. My first thought was this was written right around the time, the end of international style architecture. Yep. Yep. No, I mean, it's incredibly depressing. It's incredibly depressing to see the gentrified, but also just like the, you know, these box-like buildings where everything is... That's why I like visiting small, like, usually on the coast, like the West Coast, in the smaller towns, you can still find the unique architecture, where there's no McDonald's and no Burger King and no Walmart or none of that shit. It's just, and all the architecture is curated and unique. And you know what? I think that Europe is probably that way. So I don't know if in the UK you have spaces like this where it's just the fucking... I don't think it's that bad. It's not this bad, right? It's not this bad in the UK. At least I hope not. But this is America. This is what America looks like. You could go to basically any city and it will look exactly like this. Because we want to have sameness. We want to have sameness, we want convenience, we want, you know, whatever. But at the same time, you lose all the soul. You lose the soul of what makes a town or a city unique. So suddenly all you have is just gray concrete buildings with no personality. Yeah, that's why I like seeing houses that were built in like the, you know, pre-2000s. That picture over there was very much a 2000s type thing. We have both. Even Oxford has some bland bits outside the very center. Oh, I see. But I think Europe is a little bit better about the architecture that has character, the historical architecture, the hundreds of year old buildings and whatnot. Yeah, we need more of that. I would love if we just never had McDonald's. Like if we just abolish McDonald's, abolish Burger King. I'm sick of it. I think that they are a detriment to society. That's my opinion. But there is no positive benefit to society by having those things. Absolutely no positive benefit. You can't even argue with me. I won't accept your argument. It's false. I don't care what it is, you're wrong. That's a good way to debate with people, right? Just be like, I don't care what you have to say. I'm right. That's how we have conversations. I don't know. I guess if you, I'm trying to even conceptualize what somebody good would, like a good thing somebody would have to say about those things. I am Saul Goodman. Welcome in. How are you? What if a person has become so negative that they don't want to improve themselves? That's a problem. That is a huge problem. Are you saying that I'm too cynical? Because that does happen a lot, for sure. Yeah, I think there are problems with being too cynical about the world. Because still then you're focused on your own opinions about everything. If you're too cynical, I don't know have you seen the show, the cartoon Daria? It's from like the 90s cartoon. Here, I'll show you. She was a very cynical individual. Unfortunately, no. Oh, okay. Well, here's a picture. If you've ever seen like clips from it or anything. It's about a character who's just cynical about everything. She just judges everything. And yeah, she never really grows. She just kind of stays the same. So I completely agree with your perspective. If you're like always focused on what's wrong with everything, then you, and if it's like focusing on everything that's wrong with everything else except for yourself, then you're not going to grow. Damn, how does her life end? I better get prepared. Oh, so you were talking about yourself. Oh shit. Do you want me to spoil it for you? I mean, this isn't too much of a spoiler. Basically, like, she never grows. She stays exactly the same. They know they are wrong, they just don't care to improve. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's easy to get trapped in that, like, rumination, right? Self-hatred. I've been there. Where you hate yourself, well, not hate yourself, but like you're so self-critical of everything you do that it prevents you from growing. I get that too. It's not a very fun way to live. I definitely hate myself. Shit, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess you just have to ask yourself, like, does it help you or not? Does it help you to hate yourself or not? I mean, it's easy for people to say, don't hate yourself. It's like, that's easy for you to say. You don't know what it's like to be me. So I'm not going to tell you don't hate yourself, because sometimes, like, that's not going to help anybody. But it is okay to vent. That's what this space is for. You're completely right. You're completely right. Say whatever is on your mind. Doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It does matter what you have to say. But if you don't want me to help you, then just vent. Sometimes people just want to vent and they don't want to be helped. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll tell people something that I'm struggling with, and they'll be like, oh, here's this advice, and let me help you this, and I'll help you. Then it's like, I don't need your help. I'm okay. I just need to talk about it. Like, I just need to just get it off my mind. It doesn't mean I want you to solve anything. So if that's the attitude you have, then I completely understand. No need to solve anything. Sometimes just venting is helpful enough. Sometimes just venting is enough. Basically after COVID, now I'm sitting at home doing nothing, and I'm sorry to hear that. Damn, I'm sorry. I know a couple people who also, that happened to them after they got COVID. They got long COVID. Their life was never the same after that. That's brutal. Well, I mean, you deserve to rest. And I mean, it's not your fault that your lungs are fucked. Like, it's not your fault that you can't breathe. You don't have stamina, you don't have the energy. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. I try as much as I can to be grateful about my own health, because, yeah, life is really hard when you don't have your health, right? Life is really hard when you don't have control over some aspects of your body, or when, you're not as well as you would like to be, or sometimes there's just things out of your control that you can't solve, and that makes you feel powerless. So I'm sorry you're in that position. It's not a fun position to be in. Hopefully you're able to find stuff that does bring you some sort of joy, though, in your current situation. Just hang out in random Twitch chats. That's pretty much my social interaction I get nowadays. I think there's a lot of people who do that. It's not just, well, I'm kind of the same way, actually. The whole reason why I started my Twitch channel was because I don't have a lot of friends, and I wanted to meet new people. hopefully it's at least, somewhat nice for you to do. Sometimes that's all you have. It doesn't require physical health problems to get in that specific situation. Yep. Sometimes, like, I don't know, for me, my physical health is fine, but I have such bad social anxiety that making friends is so hard. At this point, I just don't care about anything. Like, literally nothing. I'm sorry you feel that way. Although I'm glad you have something. Your parents. Sorry, I'm just moving my mat over. Are you interested in philosophy at all? Well, I'm glad you found a reason to stay. I'll just listen to whatever you guys are talking about. Sounds good. Well, I'm glad that you found a reason to stay. Sometimes that's the hardest part. But I'm glad you're here. And you are always welcome to spend time with us. So, yep. Even if you don't know anything about philosophy, so that's what we're doing. We're talking about philosophy. We're talking about this book called The Society of the Spectacle. So even if you don't know anything about philosophy, you don't know anything about economics or anything, you still be here. But also if you're like, this is so boring, I want to leave, you don't have to watch either. There's no rules. No rules here. But I'm glad you're here. Okay, 169. Society has developed its own techniques for the task of molding the natural landscape it finds itself within. Urbanism is capitalism's direct mode of appropriation of natural and human environments. This capital appropriation gradually evolves towards absolute domination of the environment in the form of the densely packed urban city. Urbanism continues to expand, eventually remaking the totality of the landscape into its own elaborately decorated stage. And I think that's going back to the image we were talking about there. Oh, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Did the bingo thing appear at the top of my screen? I forgot that I've got stream bingo going. So if anybody wants to play bingo, I mean, there's no rewards because I'm not even an affiliate. So. But you could play if you want. I've got some interesting different bingo stuff. But also, patient, stop. You're too nice. All of you are very nice. I've already collected so many very nice, kind, intelligent people. Glad to know all of you. You're always welcome here. Okay, the thing that I was going to say was, this reminds me of what we were talking about earlier. So it says, remaking the totality of landscape into its own elaborately decorated stage. That's what it is. When we see that image of everywhere in America looks the same, it's a stage. It's a stage, it's a stage for all of the commodities and the companies and the whatever to show off what they have to do. It's no longer just a space, it's a platform. Suddenly space is converted into one giant stage for advertisements that companies can feed to you. Yeah, we're talking about how this, you could go to literally any city in America. Trust me, I have personally verified this. And you will find this absolute monstrosity, this absolute diabolical shit show of a blah. Anyway, so yeah, it's a stage. You can also think of like social media as a stage as well. A stage for influencers, products to be sold, advertisements, etc. It's no longer just a space to exist in. There's always some sort of performance happening, and you're just a spectator. I think that's what he's saying, that we are a spectator in our own life, because everything is being presented to us. We're not just existing, we're just being presented to. Okay. The drive to urbanization is an imperative of capitalism. This drive results in a freezing of life. Described by Hegel as a predominance of the peaceful coexistence of space over a restless becoming in successive moments of time. By the way, this today we're doing a reading of this book, but I also do games as well. I also do gaming as well. Today is just a special stream. On Mondays I like to do yoga and read philosophy, but on the other days of the week I like to do gaming. So like I'm playing Subnautica, we're going to be playing Skyrim, a classic, sometimes Ace Attorney, all sorts of stuff. So don't think that it's just going to be this all the time. I don't know if I could handle doing this all the time. I mean, I don't know. It's helpful. It's fun sometimes. The attorney one is super cool. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you liked it. The technical apparatus of urbanization is the fundamental method that makes all others possible and far more efficient. Urbanization is the creation and preparation of the territory upon which all other technical methods are then deployed. It is the very technology of separation. Let me make sure that's, yeah. Urbanism is the modern method that satisfies the need to safeguard class power. This method preserves the atomization of each worker that the urban conditions of production had dangerously brought together. The continual struggle of capital against the organization of the labor force to improve their working conditions has found urbanism to be its most effective field of operation. Ever since the street-by-street battles fought in Paris by the... Oh, whoops. I just hit something on my computer. Fought by the communards of the French Revolution, those in power have improved their methods of maintaining order on the streets, eventually resulting in the suppression in the streets themselves. In his book, The City in History, Lewis Mumford describes a one-way system whereby the present means of long-distance mass communication, sprawling isolation, has proved an even more effective method of keeping a population under control. This system empowers the ruling class to broadcast their historical perspectives and ideologies to an alienated society who no longer has the ability to respond with its own voice or even amongst each other. Urbanism is the general trend, a global movement to isolation within the crowd, a sense of being alone together, but in service to the needs of corporate production. We are isolated to the greatest extent allowable to maximize production and consumption. The greatest examples of how urbanism isolates us together is in the factories, cultural centers, so museums, theaters, etc., vacation resorts, and housing developments, all explicitly oriented to the goal of creating pseudo-community. I agree with this. I think that's completely correct. When you're sitting in a theater together with other people, you're kind of like alone. You're experiencing this being alone in a crowd. Although it's not even a theater, it's just being, these days, sometimes it feels like when you go out into society, you're alone, even if you're surrounded by tons of people. I think it's because we're losing those tools and those spaces where we can really form communities and interact with them. I mean, they still exist, obviously. Like, I have my community gathering that I go to on Sundays, which I really like. It's kind of like it's not a church, but yeah, it's not a church, but it kind of is. I don't know, it's weird. But, so those spaces do still exist, but they're a lot more rare than they used to be. It's a cult. Yeah, I guess, like, if it's called the Divine Assembly, that sounds very culty, doesn't it? But, I mean, mostly what it is just it's a protection, a religious protection for everybody who uses mushrooms, like me. Who uses them seriously, not recreationally. So it's a church. Not really. There's no hierarchy. There's no dogma. Just a group of people that are a cult and know they like mushrooms. Yeah, exactly. No, there's no leader that says, hey, you guys should believe. There's none of that. It's just like we all just get together. We talk about meditation. We talk about how everybody's doing. We do these like integration sessions where we talk about like what's going difficult, like what's difficult in everybody's lives, you know, and those kind of things. Yeah, we talk about mushrooms. Yeah, we do. But like that whole structure is so important when you're able to. Yeah, from the outside it definitely looks like a cult. I promise you it's not. I promise. Whack it, let's see what you said. I can't blame Debord for not foreseeing what the internet would be like, but I don't know about communication technologies making control by elites easier. Certainly gives certain people outside influence, but probably not the historical elites. So you're saying that at his time, you don't think that telephones or anything made control by elites easier. I think that's certainly the case now with social media, but maybe not during his time. Maybe he just predicted it. Which is not bad. Yeah. I mean, I can leave whenever I want, so there's no pressure to stay. I think it would be a cult if it's like, if I left, it would be a bad thing. People are like, you can come and go whenever you want. Hi, Angelina, how are you? My favorite yoga pose, it would have to be plow. Crow pose and splits. Yeah. Did you see me? Well, earlier I was trying to do crow pose. Here, let me try and do it again. I can't really do it, actually. Yeah, I can't really do it. I'm almost there. I'm almost at it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Holy shit! Oh, whoa! That was way longer than I've ever done it. That was way longer than I've ever actually done it. I'm proud of myself. 2 seconds! Can you believe that? 2. Yeah, didn't you tell, Angelina, didn't you tell me last time about that glute exercise where you isolate each one of your glutes? I remember watching the video. I remember watching that video. That was an interesting video for sure. I need to do it. I need to do that. Yeah, I think you said that the last time you were here. It was a funny video. Yeah, you told me to look up a video of where you isolate each one of your glutes. Where like they would squeeze one butt cheek and squeeze the other one. Yeah, I've tried. I mean, I tried it. I don't know how long I can do it for. It feels kind of silly. Whack it. Let's see. Yes, I remember. Oh, nice. Debord is right in that broadcast television gave... Yeah, oh, okay. He gave a potent voice to the state, especially in countries with a national broadcaster. But in retrospect, that all sounds nice compared with why he supplanted it. Yeah. Yeah, I think he was overly critical in some areas, but also right about many other things. Patient, thank you for the encouragement. I'm also very proud. 2 whole seconds. 100% improvement. Angelina, I saw it on YouTube. Yeah. 2 seconds. What's next? 4 seconds? No way. Impossible. I can't possibly. Just a number, but I definitely doubled it. Yeah. Well, the next step after doing crow pose is doing a full headstand. So you have to go from crow pose to then put your head on the floor and then put your whole body up in the air. Angelina, actually, I deleted my Instagram not too long ago. Sorry, I don't have one. Oh, I'm sure it's very interesting. 4 seconds would be like a 300% improvement. That's true. That is very true. Yeah. Angelina, are you into philosophy at all? That's kind of mostly what we're doing here is like talking about philosophy and this book called The Society of the Spectacle. Yeah. You're welcome to join us in the discussion. Even if you don't know anything about philosophy, you're always welcome. Okay, I'm trying it one more time. I'm trying it one more time, and then I'm going to continue reading. We're trying this again. Mostly because it gives me such a rush whenever I'm able to do it correctly. Okay. Eventually, you guys, I'm going to do a full ass headstand, and it's going to be absolutely epic. Okay, let's do this. You got to stand up like this, I think, with your ass in the air. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And then you... Okay, I got this. Nope, I'm going to completely face plant. Okay, wait. Okay, I need to practice. I'll be practicing in the time between these yoga streams. I'll practice, and then maybe next time I can actually do it. 1.5 seconds. No, that was more like 0.5 seconds. Thank you. Thanks. Me personally, I can do crow pose for 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 23 seconds. That's pretty impressive. Not gonna lie, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I guess when I think about it here, I'm going to do it right now as I'm sitting down. You guys aren't going to be able to see it. If I do it like this, I'm doing it. You guys aren't going to be able to see it because this is not that kind of stream. There, I'm doing it. There you go. I did it. I can't even do a Superman for more than 30 seconds. This one? Are you talking about this one? This one's kind of fun. It's good for your back. I think Superman pose is also pretty good for your glutes. You can go like the other level too, so if you want to go up like this one I think is kind of easier than this. Can't do that. Just the Superman. Not even 30 seconds. Angelina, I appreciate it, but also I don't think I'll be able to do a straddle on camera. I think that's my limit. That's where my boundary lies. I will not be doing a straddle in front of the camera. But thanks for offering anyway. All right. Now, thank you for understanding. I appreciate it. I love it when people understand boundaries. So, book 173. Prior to the 20th century, innovations in architecture were exclusively designed to serve the interests of the ruling class. Now, for the first time, I'm going to stretch out my back 1 second. Now, for the first time, architectural innovations are aimed directly at the poor. Architects no longer build ornate, unique places, but merely reproduce aesthetically bankrupt habitats characterized by their mass-produced for the masses. This is exactly what we were talking about with that picture of the mass-produced. That's exactly what that is. Dictated by the contemporary conditions of production. At the core of these conditions are an authoritarian decision-making process by which a corporation, driven by the profit imperative, works with the local municipality to abstract a local environment into an interchangeable space of abstraction. This type of architecture develops the same anywhere in the world. The buildings use the same designs and trendy material, no matter where they are. And the same international businesses soon arrive to service the communities. I knew he was going to. I knew it was going to talk about this when it started. So this is exactly what I was talking about. This works especially well in undeveloped countries, which is its most fertile terrain. This process is most efficient when society's material power is inversely proportional to its lack of progress to appropriate social control of this power. The delay of the conscious appropriation of urbanism corresponds equally with the power of thermonuclear weapons and genetic bioengineering, where genetically engineered human life is already possible. Oh my God, patient, incredible. Your ego is gone. Self-actualization. No way. 174. We live in an era of the destruction of the organic urban environment by an urbanism that is exploding the city. littering the countryside with what Lewis Mumford calls a formless mass of thinly spread semi-urban tissue. This explosion is simplified by strip malls, restaurant franchises, and landscapes developed to serve the required efficiencies of automobile-oriented consumption. Next stream, I'll have a new ego. And yeah, just next stream, your ego, you'll start at the beginning, and then you'll slowly work more and more until it's gone. This is the dictatorship of the automobile, where all designs create landscapes to serve vehicles, not animals nor human pedestrians. The automobile, arguably the first example of a product produced during the first stage of commodity abundance, has come to reconfigure the human environment of the city with the dominating imperatives of speed and available parking space to create a centrifugal trend, moving gradually away from the city into any nearby countryside with undeveloped space. The dominating force of the highway dislocated the historical organic city centers and instead promoted an ever-growing flat expanse. Meanwhile, the countryside is developed ad hoc around temporary distribution factories, poor copies of the urban centers of exchange, alienated from the street and the land around them by acres of ample parking space. Even then, these temples of conspicuous consumption themselves become victims of the centrifugal trend of suburban expansion, becoming congested and then likewise abandoned or reconfigured. This gradual process of centrifugal reconfiguration of the urban and suburban environment is the sign that the city is gradually consuming itself. The city is gradually consuming itself. Wow. 175. Economic history has developed upon the presumption of an opposition between the town and the country, creating a race to equilibrium, such that a distinction between the two have all but disappeared. The current paralysis of historical development, the so-called end of history, where irreversible historical time refuses to progress, privileging the development of the independent goals of the spectacular economy, which come at the expense of all other pursuits. This has resulted in the disappearance of both town and country instead of their transcendence. This is most clearly visible as bits and pieces of both urban and rural life are strewn about the landscape, each eroding the other into smooth and undifferentiated zones that are neither urban nor rural, but have come to dominate the developed regions of the world. This makes me think about visiting China. And in some ways, China is almost, well, I don't want to say it's worse than the way the United States is structured, but in some ways it's worse. It's a different type of bad. It's like you see these, there's the remnants of the communes. People don't really live in communes anymore, but there's the remnants of the communes, but there's also so many concrete buildings as far as the eye can see. There is almost no undeveloped land in China. There's almost no land that hasn't been touched by human hands. I took a course on the environmental history of China, and I think it's something like 95% of China's forests have all been destroyed. And it's like an astronomical number, or amount, I guess. But they've got the tall concrete buildings of like, I just have this interesting memory of like arriving there, and it was nighttime, and we had to drive through the countryside, kind of. It was the countryside, but not really, where there were still like skyscrapers, but we were kind of in a rural area, and all the skyscrapers have red neon signs on top, but it's kind of spooky. So you're driving through what you think is the countryside because it's mostly black, but then all of a sudden you see this like a red neon sign that's like, ooh, in the darkness. Fascinating. I mean, when you consider the sheer amount of people that live in China, it makes sense, right? I mean, you need to build up instead of out. You can't have that urban sprawl that America has with all the space that we have. There's just limited space. Cheap, quick construction happening more for the sake of sustaining the appearance of a need for construction. Evergrande, yes. Yep. Well, I think what a huge misconception people have about China is that they are not a capitalist country. They are very much a capitalist country. In fact, they might even be more capitalist than us. I mean, with the real estate market, it is and I don't want to talk too much about politics, but like their real estate market has completely ballooned way out of control. And a lot of it is because of the need for like the buying and selling of real estate and construction, and therefore all these ghost cities are being constructed, and people are buying properties in order to. A lot of it has to do with a general consensus among the Chinese people of like consumer spending is way down. And so they're more likely to not hoard, but like hold on to their wealth. And so they're more likely to want to buy things that are long term and invest. And investing in real estate is a great option. So some of it's construction companies funding their current projects by selling unbuilt units in future projects. Yeah, that is a problem. I think that's mostly the cause of the ghost cities. Selling unbuilt units in future projects. It's crazy. If you've ever seen the footage of the ghost cities, it's kind of haunting. But yeah, so every country has their problems. But yeah, they also have the problem. It doesn't look like that same picture I showed you where it's like the McDonald's and the Exxon and the gas station and whatever. I mean, they've got places like that for sure. But I think more of their problem is like the sameness of everything. I love seeing ancient Chinese architecture. It's truly, truly beautiful. Like when I went to Gugong, what's the name of that in English? Gugong. Oh, the Forbidden City. When I went to the Forbidden City, I thought that was really special. Seeing that kind of architecture really is amazing. But, I mean, modern Chinese architecture is just concrete rectangles. But it's like, yeah, that's everywhere. I'm just lamenting over the fact that not a lot of buildings in China are made the way that... I mean, some of them still are. I mean, like, government buildings sometimes. And, like, some of the special places like museums and stuff. But, like, the need for the skyscrapers... has caused all these concrete rectangles to be, or not rectangles, boxes to be constructed. In the UK, we have the same lack of space, but much more NIMBYism and high prices for that reason instead. What is NIMBYism? Here, let me look that up really quick. Not in my backyard. A mentality adopted by those who reject certain changes to their communities. Oh, I see. Yeah. Do you guys have HOAs there? I don't know much about how, like, the housing structures in the UK. But, like, here we have HOAs. So, I mean, in some places. So if you live in an HOA, like, yeah, there's this committee that decides, like, what you can have in your lawn and what you can... I mean, that's an exceedingly boring topic to talk about, but I mean, it is sometimes kind of funny to think about, like, how HOAs just come up with the most ridiculous things to ban. Not so much. We have a planning system that allows anyone to object to anything. Really. Oh, interesting. Angelina, I've been doing yoga for seriously, I've been doing yoga seriously for about 6 months, but I've done yoga on and off for maybe about 10 years. Like I do it, I did it every now and again for about 10 years, but I just started actually trying to do it seriously for 6 months. A water utility has been trying to get permission to build a reservoir near me for about 30 years. Jesus Christ. That is a really long time. That's ridiculous. How does anything ever get done? How do you ever get anything done? For real, though. I'm trying to think of what other pose I can do. Do I do other kind of physical activities? No, mostly just yoga, actually. Yeah, mostly just yoga. We don't get anything done. Just... Okay. The emergent power of the city has made a universal history possible. Those events and recorded stories which is accessible to all people. Universal history emerged at the moment the city became predominant and ruled over the country. Marx considered one of the greatest revolutionary merits of the bourgeoisie was that it subjected the country to the towns, whose very air is liberating. While the history of the city is also the site for the historical struggle for freedom, it has yet to host its victory. It is also a history of the tyranny of a state administration of both city and country. The city is the focal point of history because it is a concentrator of social power, which makes the historical enterprise possible, as well as an awareness of the past, a universal historical consciousness. The present trend of the city consuming itself is a symptom of the spectacular economy, retarding the unification of a society of people attaining freedom, and a universal historical consciousness, one that will enable society to overcome the totality of its alienation. The country demonstrates just the opposite fact. Isolation and separation, as opposed to the city, which mixes and brings people together. As urbanism consumes the city, it replaces it with a pseudo-countryside, devoid of any attachment to nature or the social aspects of either traditional farming villages or the mixtures of culture apparent in the organic city. This new condition of urban redevelopment, that densely packed and yet separate and isolated environments, produces a new artificial peasantry. These new peasants are molded by their physical conditions and the influence of the spectacle. Where once peasants were isolated by physical distance, now find architectural separation. And where simple ignorance once reigned, instead reigns the blinding influence of the spectacular image, which recreates simple-mindedness in the new peasantry. These forces, both historical and contemporary, prevent the peasantry from unifying and taking action in their own best interest, to become conscious of their own responsibility as the creative historical force within society. Peasants, in fact, create this world, but the lies and artificiality of the spectacle continue to credit the responsibility of its creation. Seems just as beyond their reach as it was for those living in an agrarian society to seize control of the natural rhythms and cycles of their labor. The agrarians lived according to a cyclical time controlled by nature, but contemporary pseudo-cyclical time is controlled by society itself. The traditional agrarian peasantry was the basis for the Asiatic mode of production, as is exemplified by the Chinese state bureaucracy, a form of Oriental despotism which, because of its wide dispersion across geography, necessitated a heavily centralized bureaucracy. The neo-peasantry, which has emerged from the material conditions of the pseudo-country combined with the mental influence of the spectacle, differs from the traditional peasantry in that their simple-mindedness, ignorance, and apathy to seize power has to be maintained in the present, as well as historically manufactured. Simple ignorance has been replaced by the organized spectacle of falsehoods. Bye, patient. Be right back. See you later. Angelina, I'm trying to learn how to do it, but I'm not quite there yet. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll be able to do the splits. Who knows? It's kind of painful. Okay. Let's see, where was I? The neo-peasantry, which has emerged from the material conditions of the pseudo-country, combined with the mental influence of the spectacle, differs from traditional peasantry in that their simple-mindedness, ignorance, and apathy to seize power has to be maintained in the present as well as historically manufactured. Simple ignorance has been replaced by the organized spectacle of falsehoods. These new cities of pseudo-countryside, the urbanized but consumed cities where the new pseudo-peasantry reside, are the clearest symptom of a complete break from the historical time upon which they were founded. These places continually distance themselves from their own past and create an unchanging continuous present. Their motto may well be, "On this site, nothing will ever happen, and nothing ever has." This is all the result, obviously, because the liberation of historical consciousness has not yet occurred in these cities. Instead, we see the uncontrolled proliferation of the force of historical absence, which begins to compose its own exclusionary landscape. Let me see, 1 second. 178. Oh yeah, I'm gonna read these 2 more verses, and then we might discuss a bit, and then I'll probably start wrapping up the stream, because I gotta go to hot yoga. That's what I got coming up. Hi patient, welcome back. We're just gonna read a couple more verses, and then I'm probably gonna end the stream. So I've just got 2 more. 178. A consciousness of history that threatens the spectacle is to discover the force potentially capable of reappropriating space for a lived time. The proletarian revolution is the critique of human geography. A critique, oh my god. Yeah, see, I'm starting to stutter, so that's how I know that it's about time to finish. Through revolutionary acts and events, individuals and communities must construct environments, events, and social relationships to provide the basis of an autonomous control of not only their own labor, but their entire history, thus creating a reality in their own. Revolution opens physical and social space to a new and dynamic mobile space of play, where the rules of play are informal, dynamic, and freely chosen. These open societies liberate authoritarian spaces, and in the process rediscover the previously independent and unique character of places without making them exclusive. This is accomplished without the attachment to the land and agrarian ties to cyclical time. It is an unattached, free space determined by its own egalitarian and parallel historical times, where many chronologies are all available and equally valid. This has the potential to return society to an authentic way of experiencing directly lived reality, and thus brings back the authenticity of travel and of life understood as a journey of one's own creation with its own meaning. Well, I do agree with this. The authenticity of travel and of life understood as a journey of one's own creation with its own meaning. I agree with that. Okay, last verse, and then I will respond. 179. The most revolutionary idea about urban development hasn't emerged from urbanism, technology, nor from aesthetics. It is the decision to reconstruct the environment according to the needs of power vested within the workers' councils. The environment will be configured by the anti-state dictatorship of the proletariat, a generalized and collective form of self-management, of aligned individuals working together to create a public good. Now, this is where he talks about communism. A generalized self-management according to the needs of the collective. The power of the workers' councils can only be realized and effective if it has the ambition to transform the totality of existing conditions. It cannot assign itself trivial reformist policy or any lesser task than the total transformation of existing conditions, if it is to be recognized and to recognize itself in a world of its own making. Okay. Reading can be tiresome. Yes, I agree with that. Though I never really get tired and I have a stutter, I can always read to tell you the truth. Yeah. Yeah, I have a stutter. Well, although it only comes in when I am thinking about what I'm saying as I'm saying it. Otherwise, I'm okay. But it does get worse over time. So, yeah. Well, that was interesting so far. Yeah, I think so. At the end of the day, his solution is communism, which I don't know how much I agree with that, but I agree with a lot of his anti-materialist comments. Oh, thank you, Angelina. I appreciate it. Stutter is stutter. Although, here's what I'm trying to do here. Like, I'm trying to see if I read for 4 hours straight several days, am I able to overcome my stutter? It seems like it's getting better over time. I like doing things through brute force, you know, like forcing myself to get over it. Maybe that's the solution. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, please. What do you mean, oh, please? You don't think it's possible? That's not brute force. Oh, maybe not. That's me doing more. Yeah, I guess. Can you guys do lotus pose? Yeah, that's what I'm doing is I figured if I just read for 4 hours, maybe I can lose my stutter. Some people stutter because of things. That's right. Yeah, yeah. I think people have different things that cause them to stutter, right? For me, it's like social anxiety, so it's socially driven. But some people, maybe neurologically, you've got something else going on that physically prevents you from ever getting better. Is that what you mean? Why lose it? Oh, you're saying I should embrace it. Or people should embrace their stutter. Yeah, that's an option too. That's an option. Just embrace it. That's the way I talk. Not embrace it? Oh, okay. What do you mean? I just turned off my fan. Hopefully that wasn't too distracting in the background. Empty! You always come at the very end. I was just about to end. Bruh. Oh my god. Actually, just normal yoga. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is not that kind of stream. I said in the description, I was like, no pose requests. Not doing that. No. I will not be taking requests. Thank you very much. Yeah, but we had a nice discussion of this book and philosophy and time and hyper-consumerism and NIMBY, which I didn't know what that meant until today. Not in my backyard. What did I just say? Empty, what did I just say? Just yoga. Just yoga. Just hanging out. Ouch. I'm glad I'm ending, so I don't have to put up with this shit. I'm glad that I'm ending. Thanks, patient. I appreciate it. At least someone cares. At least someone wants to be nice today. Can one be good at yoga? No. I wouldn't consider myself good. I wouldn't consider myself good at yoga. I like doing it. This is in no way me, like, displaying my talents. Although, obviously, it looks like that, because what am I doing? I'm broadcasting. Here, everyone, look at me. I just wanted to do it because it was fun. And yes, I am having fun. As long as one has fun, it's good. As long as you have fun, it's good. It's always good if you have fun. That's what we're doing here. We're just having fun. Yeah, so the next chapter is negation and consumption in the cultural sphere. Fascinating. Did I do 3 hours of yoga? Kind of. Like I did, what I do is I like mix in certain poses throughout the time. I realize I'm looking down when I should be looking at the camera, but I prefer looking down instead of at the actual camera. Yeah. So, have I been streaming for 3 hours? Actually? Damn. I did a good job. Everyone pat themselves on the back. Especially you, Patient and Wackett. Take your hand and just pat on the back right there. You watched me for 3 hours. Just absolute fucking, I don't know. But I appreciate the conversation, I really do. You guys are so smart and so fun to talk to, and yeah. Not to make it parasocial, but love, all the love that I have, here, I give it. I give it freely. As much as one streamer can give to other people. Just yoga for the purpose of doing yoga. Yeah. Because of the absurdity. The absolute absurdity. I give my time freely. Yeah. Oh, me too. I like talking to you guys. Yeah, it wouldn't be so fun if I was just sitting here talking to myself. That would be pretty boring, actually. If I was just sitting here and like fucking spewing stuff, I think I would stop streaming after maybe half an hour. So, yeah. Anyways, tomorrow what will I be doing? I'll be playing Subnautica. Tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. And this time, I'm actually going to do some work before I start playing Subnautica again. So we're not just fucking going back and forth between my two bases. Because that was an absolute mess. Luckily, it was only Wackett that observed that. It was an absolute shit show. I'm going to keep talking about it. It's probably better if I don't talk about it. then everybody can just forget. But never that happy when I'm there. Oof. That's not true. That's not true. Yeah, you make me happy in your own special way, I guess. Different ways. Different ways of engaging with people. Yeah. I had a pigeon flying into my window. Oh my god, what? That's crazy. He's the angry person. Yeah. No, there's a place for that. If you want to roast me, it's okay. I'm fine with being roasted. Oh my goodness. Oh, so it was still alive? Well, that's true. I mean, it's almost required. It's almost required. If you live in Germany, you gotta be angry. Otherwise, what's wrong with you? Anyways, is the bird okay? The pigeon? That's tragic. That's nice of you though. See, empty is nice. He just puts up this like wall of like savagery. Like at his core, he's a nice person. I don't know many people who would bring a pigeon that ran into their window to the animal hospital. Oh, I see. So you just left it there and they'll figure it out. That was nice of you. That was nice of you. I don't think that's ever happened to me before. That's crazy though. Oh, shoot. What was it like when you were bringing it to the animal hospital? Was it really loud? Was it squawking and stuff? Poor thing. Yeah. You do love animals. It was pretty relaxed. Oh, that's good. I wonder if... I'm sure it's fine. Well, you did the best that you could, right? You did everything you could. Stunned. Yeah. That's probably it. Well, you did everything you could do, so... yeah. I'm sure it'll be fine. Oh, look at you. You're such a good person. Caring about the pigeon. Every being is important. Every soul is important. I need to learn that about, like, I need to apply that, like, every being is equally as important, and I need to take that and I need to apply it to wasps. That is the one thing where I'm like, I don't think I can. It was a cute one. Ooh. Was it a gray one? Like a gray pigeon, or was it like one of the doves, like a white one? Aren't doves just white pigeons? Am I wrong on that? I feel like a dove is just a white pigeon. I could be wrong. They're kind of silly looking, not gonna lie. Let me see. Oh, here, I'll pull it up here. Let me see. They are birds, yes. No, I don't mean that they're both birds. I'm not that stupid. I mean, science says they're different. Oh, okay. I guess I am that stupid. Whatever. They just look so similar, that's why. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, it's got such a little fuzzy head. Here, let me show you. Oh, look at it. Its feathers are all ruffled. Oh. Oh, my goodness. So did it get trapped in your, it must have gotten trapped in your window screen, too. Oh, my goodness. I hope he's okay. Oh, so cute, though. Look at his little head. Wow. What the fuck did I say? I was right. Ooh, I was right. I was right. I am not stupid. We love it. We love when Marissa's not stupid. It's okay to be stupid too, though. Once in a lifetime that she's like, shut up. You shut up right now. I was gonna yell that into the microphone, but I'm not gonna do that. Shut up. So mean. So mean. I can't believe this. I can't believe this treatment that I'm receiving. But also, I was right. Sometimes I gaslight myself too. Like, I know I'm right, but also I'll be like, maybe I'm not. I'll be like, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure I'm right, but then if somebody says you're wrong, I'll be like, yeah, you're right, I'm wrong. That's just how it is. Even though I'm like, bro, you could literally, like, I could go to school for something for like 6 years and be an expert in it and know it fully 100%. One person tells me that I'm wrong, I'll be like, you're right. You're right. Patient, what about Discord? Do you want to join? I've got my Discord. I've got it. Or did you say that you don't want Discord? I never do that. Never. Yeah, you're right. Oh, you don't have Discord. Oh, no worries. No worries. We just sometimes talk about things on Discord. We share memes. We talk about philosophy. We also see cute little pigeons. Poor little injured pigeons. I'm sure he'll be fine. Okay. I don't know how much longer I can handle this kind of treatment. Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, but I am. I am new to Discord. I barely know how to use it. So we'll all learn together. We're all going to learn together. We'll figure it out together. Well, you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, like, what am I supposed to do? Not try? Not try to stream? Not try to use Discord? I'm supposed to just never try? That's not the solution. You have to be okay with being mediocre. You have to be okay with being mediocre. And also, some people use it more. Yeah. I never really used it until now, but I heard that Twitch streamers, you're supposed to have a Discord. So I was like, okay, I'll use Discord then. Others don't use all the options. Yeah, it's mostly because I read that Twitch streamers are supposed to have Discord. I did my research. I did my research on what I'm supposed to do. Might not be implementing it all correctly. Oh, I already read my tarot card for today. It was Achievement of Fire. It was this one. Achievement of Fire. Forest Fire. We'll end with that. How about that? We'll end with the tarot card. And then I'll turn it off because I really do have to go to hot yoga. Hot yoga. Okay. Achievement of fire. Impossible situations eventually yield to great victory. Impossible situations eventually yield to great victory. What this means is you gotta try. You gotta try, and it will seem impossible. It'll seem like there's this impossibly tall mountain you have to climb. I'm like, holy shit, how can I possibly do this? I'm so incompetent. You're gonna be incompetent. But then, when you achieve it, it will be a great victory. Yeah. You always have to try. Trying is better than not trying. The annoying thing about Discord is how much it removes some basic information. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll be testing it out for a while, and if it takes hold, if people use it a lot, then we'll keep using it. And then if it eventually fizzles out and people stop using it, then we'll just stop using it. I don't want it to be like just a place where I just post everything like my own personal Instagram. We're not doing that. If it becomes a place where like it dies and nobody ever talks on it, then we'll not have a Discord. But I wanted to have a space where people could talk more outside of stream or discuss things or share things about themselves. So that's what that space is for. Not for, oh, let's look at all the pictures Marissa has. No. It's about like, let's talk as humans and share ideas in another platform. So, anyway. Okay. Well, I'm going to end because I really have to pee. So, thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate you all spending time with me. Wonderful conversation, wonderful yoga. Always a good time. So, yes, have a nice day. Have a good night, everybody. I'm assuming everybody's going to have a good night. Have fun peeing. Oh, I will. I will. Bye. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.